In this video where I'm going to show you how to put together the hot cocoa bar box. So this is a box, kind of emulates what I would call a hot cocoa bar. So just kind of a fun, whimsical box that you can use for decor, and it really is for a gift, because this is the box part, but this will be the front of it, and then there's some elements that go with it, the signs and all that thing. So let's go ahead and score the box pieces. So we're not going to put the box together quite yet, and the reason is you want to be able to get some of these other items together flat. So we're just going to go ahead and score the box pieces, or fold the box pieces on the score lines. So just get them all ready to put together. I'm going to use two glues, Scotch Quick Dry and art glitter glue. So I'm just using this for the larger tabs. So for this one, I'm just going to go ahead and attach one of the tabs only. So we're gluing it to the inside and lining up this right edge to the tab fold. So just make sure you line it up well. I'm just making sure if I have some glue leakage to get it. I don't want it on my mat because it'll get on everything else. So tip is I always have a damp paper towel on the side so I can use it. So we're just going to put that aside for now, and then I'm going to put together this is the front counter, and when you fold it, so we're just going to piece together these things, but I want to show you, you can see that I folded on the score lines. Like normally when I do a box that's larger, I have a little tab here and here, but it really is going to make no difference with this particular one. I wanted to make it a little easier. I used the tab and it really didn't make that much of a difference, so we're just going to fold it over and glue this one that doesn't have the angle over the angled one. So hopefully that makes sense. So I'm going to get my fine tip applicator with the art glitter glue, and we're going to add glue onto this little angled side, which is kind of more, acts like a tab, and then the top has just a straight edge. So if you can see that, how it is, which side. We're just going to fold it over, line it up, and I'm just lining up the edge with that tab fold right there. And then we can use a little utensil, just a blunt tool. This is my wooden chopstick. I'm going to reach in there and allow it to be the background so I can apply pressure here. So this is more a look, so you can see that having that tab there missing is not a whole lot different than, like normally we have tabs everywhere to make it structurally sound, but this really is just a decorative piece of this box. So we're just going to go ahead and line it up again. Just making sure it's aligned here and on the side. Then we're just going to reach in again once we kind of have it in place and apply additional pressure. So you want to make sure those are good and secure before you move on. So we're getting this part out of the way, so first it can dry a little bit before we have to add it to the actual bar, or add it as a bar I should say. So we'll go ahead and just fold this over and glue it. So this is a little bit trickier because you can't reach in. So I made it as long as possible. You want to get as much glue coverage on this piece right here. You can see it. You're going to carefully fold it over. Align it into that area. You don't want to put much pressure on it. So this is just to give you a little 3D effect. So what I'm doing is, as I'm putting it, I don't want to be pushing in because it won't adhere that way. So this one might take a minute or so if you're using wet glue. Art glitter glue is nice because it dries fairly quickly with not a lot of glue. So if you can see, it looks like it's good, but I like to be a little careful about it. And this will be the other part that goes on here, and we can stick it right where that fold is. And then it's just going to fold over, and that's going to be glued elsewhere. But we can glue it on the top like that, right where the fold is. So we'll just do that so it dries. So that hides that tab. And you can see I embossed it with a little wood embossing. So I'm just going to pick a side, any side. And I just want to line up that fold. I don't want to add glue to that section. I just want to line it up left and right. And make sure it's flat on the back. So I'm just going to do that. So this is going to, how this is going to attach is between the panels down like that. So that's why we're not doing anything with this yet. So let's let it dry. And then here's the hot cocoa sign. And the way it goes together is like this, layered. So we can start this way. So what I would suggest is to add glue to the back of this, because you have a lot of areas you can't add glue to, so you need to be really careful. This is where you need something like a fine tip applicator. If you wanted to, you could try to do a little print and cut. You could layer these together and do a print and cut. That's up to you. I like the dimension of the layer. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting little dots of glue between the dots. So when I place it down, it'll actually, I just thought it was kind of a fun sign. And putting little dots in between the C's. So this is, you have to be really careful, get it in place before you put it down. So I'm just checking, I'm just going to go to the left first, then I'll adjust it on the right a little bit. And then just carefully add that. So the trick here is just not to get too much glue. Adding like little dots of glue. You don't want to get too many glues toward the edges, else it'll come through that and show on top of the background color, which I selected as red for this one. And then we'll go ahead, and this will serve as the white inners, so it looks like, then you have hot cocoa. So same thing here, you just want to add the glue. You don't have to go all the way to the edge because that white piece is smaller than the red piece. You just want to go a little bit around those openings. You can see there's a fine science to it. I'm going to put the textured side up, and I'm just going to place it. Just rotate it down. And there's a sign all ready to go. And then here's the 25-cent sign that I put a little cocoa color behind it. So this one's a little bit easier. Only the letters with circles in the middle or something like that are the reasons why I had to do it the way we did. Oops, let's go ahead. We don't need to do that. We can just... This one's a little bit smaller too, so we just want the coverage. So we'll put that aside. So now let's go back to the box. And here are the layers. Here are the other pieces. So it's really actually quite simple to put together. But let's go ahead and do this really quick. So when you see this piece, it's going to be kind of weird. It's more rounded on top than the bottom. I did that a certain way, so you want to make sure that you're situated correctly. If you go the other way, it won't fit right. Okay, you can kind of see it's a little bit different. So just make sure you situate it correctly when you put it on. I'm going to start on the left. I'm just kind of placing it lightly. Then I'm going to go like this. Make sure it's lined up. And you can always scooch it up a little bit. Now you could do this with distress ink, or if you have oxide that you use, but I'm going to just put a little edge on it, and this helps create dimension as it goes onto the back piece. So we have that, and we might as well do it on the other one too while we have it out. Just give it a little inking here. And if you ask about this chalk ink, they no longer make it. It was my preferred chalk ink, but for whatever reason, well, there was a reason, I read about it, but the company closed their doors in 2019. So no more Color Box and Clear Snap products, unless somebody takes over. I'm only going to go up to here because I'm going to put the white on it. On top. So this is how it's going to layer, and that's where we'll do this between. We'll add this behind here and glue it to that. So that's how it'll go. So before this, let's work on that. Put that aside. And we have this piece. So we're going to put these pieces on. This is, I have it cut like this, and it's textured on this side. So if you go like that, if you glued it like this is how it's going to glue. That would be non-textured. So if you want that textured, once you fold it, you can either cut it upside down or go the other way. I'll just go the other way so you can see how it goes. This is how it folds. So you can fold it the other way if you cut it one way. So now I'll have the textured edge right here, right there, that bottom part of the red. And then I'll be adding this anyways to the front of it, on the top of this little awning. So let me make sure it's good and scored, because I'm going against the natural score. Good and folded, I should say. Nice crisp edge. I'm not going to add this yet, because we still have to glue it to the box. So we're going to, I'm not going to add this part, that's the part. We're going to go ahead and glue this on. And you can see what I'm gluing, just this little right up to the fold. It's going to go right here. So it's just going to line up on that top part. And if you, it gave me a second to do little adjustments. So that will fold down to become the awning. Then while we're at it, we're going to go ahead and add this piece. So we don't forget that we have to, when we glue it onto the back piece, this doesn't get forgotten. Oops, here. Make sure you add glue to this too, the end. So I'm going to show you up front. I accidentally forgot to add glue to that. So on that piece right there, I'm going to just slide it in to the fold and then gently fold it over. So I'm just going to hold it there. Just make sure that that inside fold is lined up. And I'm holding it down so the edge gets glued to the front. So now let's go ahead and add this to the opening here. So when you glue this, you can see that you're not going to want to add glue down here. So you can't add it to the back of this. I mean, you can, but you want to only go so far. So what I would recommend is to add part of the glue down here on the top, and then add glue to the bottom below the opening here, so you know you have the coverage correct on the bottom. Just don't hit the handle at all. Actually, it went beyond. That's the other thing, make sure your width. So let's go ahead and double check it. See, it does go beyond it. It's a little bit wider. So we're going to go ahead and line that opening up. You can see you just didn't want glue too far to the edge on the bottom. I'm just double checking to make sure no glue, the glue I wiped away is gone. So I didn't get it 100% lined up, but lined up well enough. And you can see like that. So let's go ahead and put the rest of the box together, and we'll put the rest of this on after. So now we're going to glue this like that. So you're just going to slide. Do you see how it's back there? And that will be covered. We're just going to add glue to this. I'm just sticking with our glitter glue right now, so I have smaller coverage here. And I'm just going to reach in and line that up underneath this big panel. It's a square box, so it should be fairly simple. Then we'll go ahead and fold these over. Just going to go ahead and add glue to this first. Even though it's going to be kind of bulky to put that last piece on after I do this, we'd rather not have it on and break off any of the pieces. So just going to fold those down. We're just lining that up. And because of the shape on the top, you kind of have to do it from the side. So once you get that on, you can go ahead and apply pressure with this, or you can reach in and apply pressure with something like this type of utensil. And you can see the tabs inside, but it's really not that bad. I mean, you could always glue the tabs to the bottom too. I mean, the showpiece part of it is the top anyways. The front, I should say. But we do want to make sure it's good and secure, so let me make sure. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and add this top piece. We actually can do this first. So let's go ahead and add that. Just going to add this little panel to the awning. Just line it up there. If you put a corresponding, like a coordinating color, you might see the edge of it, but actually it'll probably enhance the look, in my opinion. And if you really want to get a good fold, this is when you want to do it prior to putting it on the box. So now let's go ahead and add it. So we're just going to match up the opening. Just making sure it matches up. This could be actually a coffee shack too if you wanted to be. You just don't use the hot cocoa sign. So I'm just applying pressures where it hits, just rubbing it lightly. Now I'm embossed this, but we're just going to go ahead and stick it on right over that. I could put it on the glue on the back of it, but I'd rather make sure that I don't drop it on here. So I just eyeballed. If you dry fit it first, you'll be able to figure out how far down it goes. Just feeling around the edges to make sure it's lined up. Then you can't flatten it. That's the whole thing with this part of it. And then we'll go ahead and add those signs. We use double-sided sticky tape. Get that little sign up here. Just center it. And then you can just determine where you want I'm going to ink this a little bit around the edges. If you are going to see it from the back, I think that I'll put a solid piece. But actually I'm just going to do that. Actually, you can put it anywhere you want. You could put it right on the edge if you wanted to. Or you could put it up here. So we're just going to put it up here. So it's just an open box. You could actually use it for a little treat box or a decoration. Somebody asked for something similar to this, so I thought, what the heck? Let's give it a try. I think I like it on the left better. It's just fun. So you can see, you just pull that down, and there's a little hot cocoa bar in a box. So you could actually put hot cocoa in there. So here's the finished hot cocoa bar box. What I want to note to you is that I'm going to put it up. It's front heavy, so if you have a gift in the back, it's not going to fall over. But if you wanted to add something to it, I have some clear, just a couple of clear rocks, craft rocks. You can go ahead and add that in there, and then it won't fall over. So you could put something in there just temporarily if you wanted to use it as a decor, but I wanted to make sure that you knew that. I'd have to counterbalance it on the back, but I don't think there's a need. You can just add, like I said, a little craft rock or something like that. Normally those can be found, or something like that you can find in your craft stash. So thank you so much for watching.